From the moment Princess Olaedo was born, her father treated her like a rare jewel. She was the first child and the only daughter. But there was one problem. Princess Olaedo had a wicked heart. From a young age, Olaedo's cruel nature began to show. She loved power and control. She treated the palace servants like they were nothing. If a maid did not bow quickly enough, Olaedo would scream at her and sometimes pull her ear. "Do you know who I am? I am your princess. You will respect me," she would yell, her face full of anger. One morning, when Olaedo was 18, she stood at the palace gates. When the poor farmer's wife brought a basket of fresh vegetables as a gift for the queen. "Good morning, princess," the woman said, kneeling before her. Olaedo looked away and said, "You smell like farm." She said, stepping back. The woman smiled nervously. "My daughter, I just came from there. Please forgive me." Olaedo spat. "Who is your daughter? And did you wash the sleeves? They look dirty." "Yes, my princess, I washed them." Olaedo didn't believe her. Instead, she kicked the basket over, spilling the vegetables onto the dusty ground. "Take them away. My father doesn't eat trash." The woman looked shocked, but she said nothing. She picked up the vegetables as quickly as she could. Her mother, Queen Ifunanya, saw everything from her window. She came down immediately and pulled Olaedo aside. "Olaedo, what is wrong with you?" she said, her voice firm. "You are a princess, but you must have a good heart. How can you treat people like this?" "Mom, she's just a farmer. Why fight over her?" Olaedo said, folding her arms. "And you are just a human being," the queen replied. "Stop being wicked." As she grew older, her bad behavior only got worse. One hot afternoon, Olaedo marched to the stream with 2 palace guards behind her. Women and children were busy fetching water and laughing, but when they saw the princess, the laughter stopped. "Everybody leave," the guards would say. The villagers paused, unsure if they heard correctly. "Did you not hear me?" he yelled. "I said leave the stream now. Your princess wants to draw water." Slowly, they began to pack their things. The women carried their pots and the children grabbed their buckets. But one girl, a slim teenager named Neka, was too slow. Her clay pot was heavy and she struggled to lift it. "And you, why are you still here?" Olaedo snapped. I'm coming, my princess," Neka stammered. "Coming?" Olaedo's eyes narrowed. She walked over to Neka and with one swift motion pushed the pot off her head. It crashed to the ground, breaking into pieces. Neka screamed, "My pot! That was the last one!" Without fetching any water, she handed her empty pot to one of her servants and walked away. One day, an elder named Papa Ejike came to the palace. He was old, with a white beard and tired eyes, but his voice was strong. "Your Majesty," he said, kneeling before King Udobodo. "I have come to report your daughter." King Udobodo frowned. "What has she done this time?" "She destroyed the goods my wife bought and beat her, just because she delayed leaving a shop where the princess was buying the same thing," Papa Ejike said. The king sighed. He had heard so many complaints about Olaedo, but he didn't know how to stop her. "Thank you, Papa Ejike. I apologize for the princess' foolishness. I will talk to her." Unlike Olaedo, Prince Makwo was quiet and shy. Most villagers didn't even know what he looked like because he rarely left the palace. While Olaedo strutted around the village causing trouble, Makwo stayed in his room, reading or playing his flute. "Makwo, come with me to the stream," Olaedo said one day. "No, thank you," he replied. "And why? Are you scared of the people?" she teased. Makwo said nothing. He didn't like how his sister behaved, but he felt it wasn't his business. People avoided her whenever they could, and mothers warned their children, "If you see the princess, stay out of her way. Do not look her in the eye, or she might punish you for nothing." The queen tried to correct Olaedo again and again, but the princess would not listen. "You talk too much, mother," Olaedo said one day. "One day I'll be queen, and everyone will bow to me. I don't need to be kind to them." The queen sighed deeply. She only hopes that Olaedo will change as she gets older. Years passed and Princess Olaedo grew into a strikingly beautiful woman, but her beauty could not hide the wickedness in her heart. Her parents thought marriage might soften her heart, so they began seeking suitors for her. Wealthy traders, warriors, even crown princes from neighboring villages came to ask for her hand, but Olaedo refused every one of them. One day, a crown prince from a neighboring village, Prince Obiora, came to ask for Olaedo's hand in marriage. He was a tall, handsome man, known for his wisdom and bravery. King Udobodo and Queen Ifunanya hoped that perhaps this time their daughter would agree. He carried gifts and spoke with confidence, but Olaedo's pride met him at the door. When Obina entered the royal hall, Olaedo barely glanced at him. "Who is this?" she asked coldly. The prince bowed and said, "My princess, I am Prince Obina, here to—" "How dare you come here unannounced?" She cut him short, her voice sharp. Obina swallowed his pride and apologized. "Forgive me, Your Highness. I meant no disrespect. I am only here to—" "Enough!" she snapped with a wave of her hand. She rose from her seat, walked close to him, and stared into his eyes. "Look at me. Do I look like some weak woman to you? I was born to rule, to be powerful, not to be some man's puppet. At least not yours." Prince Obiora, though shocked, tried to maintain his composure. "Princess, Now leave my presence at once," she ordered. The prince stood stunned, unable to believe her audacity and pride. When he hesitated, she turned to her guards and barked. "What are you waiting for? Throw him out!" The guards hesitated, knowing that Obina was royalty, but Olaedo's glare was fierce. "Do you want to part with your heads?" she shouted. Reluctantly, they moved to escort the prince out, but Obina shook them off. Angry and humiliated, he spat on the floor before her and stormed out of the palace. Queen Ifunanya had to personally visit Obina's village, bearing gifts to apologize for her daughter's actions. That news scared every other suitor away after. While Olaedo's parents sought peace, she was preparing for power. She had always believed she deserved the throne, not her younger brother, Prince Mako. Olaedo took advantage of this, often barging into king's council meetings uninvited. The meetings were meant only for the king, Mako, and the village chiefs, but Olaedo would march in as if she owned the place. "This is a council meeting," the king thundered. "You have no place here. Now leave!" "Father, I have every right to be here," Olaedo replied, her voice steady. "I am just as much as a ruler as Mako, and you are not my heir," the king shouted. "Maybe I should be," Olaedo said with a sly smile, while taking her seat. The council erupted in murmurs, but Olaedo did not care. She walked out as boldly as she had walked in, leaving the king furious. For all her wickedness, there was one person Olaedo truly cared about, Nkem, the handsome chief of the village army. She had loved him since she was a young girl, and to her delight, he loved her too. Their relationship was a closely guarded secret. Nkem was one of the few people who dared to challenge Olaedo's behavior. "Ola, you need to stop this," he told her one evening. "Your actions are hurting the people. A true ruler earns respect through kindness, not fear." Olaedo smiled and brushed off his words. "Nkem, this is who I am. I don't know how to be petty with people. I'm royalty. This is how I command respect." Nkem sighed. He loved her deeply, but hated her wicked ways. Still, he stayed, hoping she might change. But Olaedo's thirst for power grew stronger every day. One night, she made her move. She had spent years secretly gathering loyal guards and villagers who believed in her strength and ambition. The plan was simple but ruthless: take the throne and silence anyone who opposed her. With the help of her loyal guards, she captured her father while he was sleeping and locked him up in a dungeon. Mako, terrified, escaped the palace to a faraway village with his mother. Her first act was to declare herself the supreme ruler of the land. Those who spoke against her were thrown into prison or killed. The once peaceful village became a place of fear and suffering. Olaedo, now drunk with power, believed she was untouchable. She lived recklessly as though the entire world belonged to her. One of her cruelest acts was bringing out her father, King Udobodo, she would have him paraded in chains before her friends and servants. "Look at him," she would laugh. "The mighty King Udobodo, brought to his knees by his own daughter." When the party was over, she would have him return to the dungeon. Ikemefuna still loved Olaedo, but her actions broke his heart. He confronted Olaedo about her behavior. "Olaedo, you're not the woman I fell in love with. You are better than this, Ola." But she only laughed. "Better? Ikem, I'm the best. I am the queen and I will do whatever I please. You should be proud of me." Meanwhile, Queen Ifunanya and Prince Makwo were determined to end Olaedo's reign. The queen sent a messenger to bring Ikemefuna. When he arrived, Queen Ifunanya said, "Ikemefuna, you are the only person Olaedo trusts. She listens to you. We need your help to stop her." Ikemefuna shook his head. "She's not a monster, my queen. She can change. I just need more time to talk to her." Queen Ifunanya's face hardened. "Ikem, Olaedo is my daughter, and I'm telling you, she does not need to be changed. She needs to be stopped. She will only get worse as long as no one opposes her." Finally, he agreed to help the queen and prince. Together, they crafted a plan. Late one night, during one of her drunken parties, she was captured. The king was freed from the dungeon, and Olaedo was put in his place. When Ikemefuna visited Ola in the dungeon the next day, she sat in the corner of the cell, angry and broken. "I'm sorry, Ola. I did this because I love you," he said, kneeling beside her. "This isn't who you are." "Shut up," she said. "This is exactly who I am. I needed no saving." She turned away, refusing to look at him. The next morning, Ikemefuna returned with food, hoping to talk to her again. But when he opened the cell door, his heart stopped. Olaedo lay lifeless on the floor. "No!" he cried, but it was too late. After her death and burial, the kingdom healed slowly under the reign of King Udobodo and his heir, Prince Makwo. They worked together to restore peace.